Definitely a number 3 injector, because it's got new wires, new plugs, new everything, except for the injectors. I think it's an injector. Alright, first thing we gotta do, gotta remove this seat, and then we've got to unbolt all the way around and remove this panel off the engine. I just want full access to the engine, so we're going to pull that off. Now, is it completely necessary to pull this whole side off? No, it's not. Your injectors, your intake, shakiness, sorry. Your injectors and everything are on the opposite side of the engine, and that's where we will be working. But it's nice to access the hoses and stuff like that on this side. When I had to be repairing and stuff on this side of the engine. So in my repair, in my case, I needed to pull this side off. I'm also going to be putting a new seal all the way around, because you can actually see the dirt coming in right here. I have a big air leak right here, and when I drive down the road, especially in the winter time, there's a ton of cold air rushing in around that panel. So I'm going to put a new seal on, as well as all the other repairs that we're doing. Alrighty, tubers. Alright, the next step is going to be removing a lot of this. Need to take pictures, need to figure out where everything goes before removing it. I've already removed a vacuum line from here to here, because I need to buy some more vacuum line. I'm going to bring some with me. But we got to remove the boot here. We're going to have to remove a lot of stuff off of this to get this out of the way. It's not going to be easy or fast for that matter. So there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Alrighty, that was a chore and a half. Had to unplug the throttle position sensor carefully. Broke a little piece of plastic off, but it should still be able to connect to that, no problem. And connecting all these lines. This antifreeze line did not need to come undone, but this one definitely did. Here and here. And then underneath, there's a tube that went underneath and plugs into right here for more antifreeze. That was a chore and a half. Unfortunately, this gasket here absolutely just disintegrated as soon as I pulled it apart. I've got a new intake gasket coming in, but I realized as I was pulling this apart, I believe what I have coming in is exactly what it is, an intake gasket for up in here. Not an intake gasket for here. I'm not sure though, I'll have to go look. Really hope it's set up like a Jeep where the exhaust and intake is the same here, and then they're also giving me this. I'm really hoping. If not, I'm gonna have to hunt around. This stuff feels like plastic. It's really weird. But yeah, here's that antifreeze line that comes along the bottom side that connects in as well. And there, back there, this connects to the back side of the head. That guy right there is your, I would call a kamikaze hose. When this goes, all of your antifreeze leaks out. You don't know what's going until it's too late. And you overheat, warp heads, have lots of issues. So that will definitely be replaced on this. A lot of guys will actually cut into the backside of the firewall inside the van to get to that, because that's like the only way to get to it other than pulling the engine out, pulling the intake, manifold off or cutting that hole in the backside to access it. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and take a look at these new injectors that I've got. I had 3 different choices. 1, get brand new injectors, different price ranges. 2, have my injectors removed, rebuilt, and put them back in. Or 3, go with a fuel injector that is much more modern, just like I did on my 95 Jeep Cherokee, going from a single hole to a 4-hole for better atomization, possibility of better fuel economy and power. It's not going to be like night and day, oh my gosh, it's so much faster than it was. It's not going to be like that. But I decided to go with the 3rd choice, because looking around out there, I could not find one person that did that upgrade. It was either rebuild or replace with the stock style injectors. So I thought I would kind of blaze the trail, so to speak, and go for it. It came with 4 new injector plugs. If I need to use them, I will. Came with the resistor delete. The resistor for the fuel injector sits down here. I'll show you that in the future. Not sure if there's like a resistor or something right there. There probably is. And then 4 new 4-port injectors. Haven't even opened yet. Taken a look at them. Let's go ahead and pull one of these guys out here and take a look. Smells like a fuel injector type cleaner. Here we go. It's got new screens in there. The screens have been replaced. They look great. They look like exactly what I'm needing. I'm excited to see how these perform. These are supposed to be new Bosch bodies, or reused Bosch bodies, and there's the Bosch emblem right there. My hands are dirty. I'm getting that all sorts of dirty. I just don't want to get any dirt in the intake part of that. Well, cool. Let's go ahead and remove these injectors, that fuel rail injectors. Take a look at these plugs. I might replace them all. It probably would be beneficial, especially seeing how buried these injectors are. I didn't replace the plugs on my Jeep, and I actually have issues with it disconnecting and connecting while I'm driving. I've been able to mitigate it now. It doesn't have the issue anymore, but it's because the plugs are old. Like I said, these being so buried, it might be a really good idea to just go ahead and replace the injector plugs, which is going to take quite a bit of time to do, but in the long run, it'll be worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug all these guys, undo the 2 bolts here. I don't think there's one bolt at the back side, the fuel supply line, that will probably have to come off. And then on the front side here, there's a return. Another thing to take note, it looks like there's a bolt hole in the back side here. It's supposed to hold this in place, and this is not held in place there or here. I guess somebody else has been in here and didn't replace those 2 bolts. So you might have to unbolt these 2 from the intake, and they would be bolted in back here somewhere for the one, probably right here. Right there for the other, right next to the EGR. think this might go with me. I'll go take it to the parts washer down in my little shop / storage unit. Sorry for that flickering again. Got the fuel rail off. It is backwards. So that is cylinder 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And again, online they say number 3 is always the one to catch all the garbage, for the injector to fail or get dirty. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you can see, tilted it back and all the garbage. Surprising to see how much garbage is in just that one. And I don't know if I showed it on camera. That one's it's dirty, but not bad. Same with that one, dirty, but not bad. That's the in. That's the business end. So that was 1, 2, and 4. And there's the third. And that must have happened quite suddenly. I'm really wondering if the fuel filter that I have on this didn't fail and send trash through all the lines. I put a new fuel filter on this when I got it running. But the fuel pump, excuse me, the fuel pump recently has been making more noise. It's a new fuel pump, if you've been following the series. It's a new fuel pump. It really should not be making any noise, and I found out again recently that if your fuel pump is starting to make a lot of noise, to check and change your fuel filter, because the lack of flow will both wear out your fuel pump, but it will also make a lot more noise because it's having to work a lot harder to pump fuel. So I've got 2 new fuel filters for this van. I'm going to be flushing the fuel system out. Going to be cleaning the rails out, all the lines out. All the lines look fine. They look beautiful on the inside from what I can see. There's very little to no rust. But they will all be sprayed out and blown out. Get them as clean as possible. I will be dropping the tank and cleaning the tank out. But on top of that, I'm going to be putting a new fuel filter on, and then in a month or 2, I'll be dropping that fuel filter again and putting another fuel filter on, just to make sure this doesn't happen again, especially putting the new upgraded injectors on. Yeah. So far, I've replaced these 2 fuel injector plugs. These are the same as OEM, so this is just a replacement of the old plugs. These plugs for the new injectors also work on the old injectors. It's exactly the same plug except slightly better, because you can just push it to release. I really like that design. A lot easier to pull apart. But if the injectors were to not work, something happened to them or whatever, and I need to put original injectors in this, I can do so because the plugs are the same. It's just going to give me new seals and better connections. So these 2 have been replaced. I've used solder butt connectors from Radio Shack. They're the only place nearby that I know of that sells them. Got all of these guys done. I actually found out that these 2 forward injector plugs were actually previously replaced. Oh, low battery, sorry. They were previously replaced, and somebody just twisted the wires together and then electrical taped them. You can see all the corrosion. So they needed to be replaced anyways. I'm glad I found that. I'm glad this kit came with the new injector plugs. So I'm going to get to it, get the rest of these done, get the old O-rings out of all the injector tubes, and get everything set up ready to go. And then I'm going to be flushing the fuel system and a whole bunch of other things, a whole host of other things. So let's get to it. Total pigsty in here right now, but behind the glove box, you've got this fuse. It says circuit open, usually with a yellow plug. There's your plug. You jump up just like you see there. It will bypass the relay and pump fuel. And let it pump all the fuel out of the tank. Oh, I forgot to mention, you also have to have the key in the on position. Not running, obviously, but in the on position. Finally got the fuel tank out. Dumped out a little bit out the neck here into this container. Let it sit for just a couple minutes and dumped it into that container. Look at how much garbage is in that tank. That's all must have been knocked loose the last little while I've been driving this thing. What, year and a half? Oy vey. I almost got lazy and didn't drop this tank. And I'm so glad I did. Did drop it, not got lazy. Oof. Alrighty, and here's that fuel pump. Fuel line that we put on here still feels great. The random fuel pump, I think it was, if I remember right, it's for like a 2002 Honda Accord with the V6. Bought it forever ago and ended up using it on this project. Still surviving, still working good. I think it was a $12 pump off eBay. The plugs are still here. It's still working. Really, it's just the metal part on the inside that really matters. But yeah, I was imagining this sock looking a heck of a lot worse than it does. By the way, the inside of the fuel filter has got the same garbage all inside it, so really I'm glad I pulled this. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the tank. Yeah. Definitely gonna have to clean it out. See if we can get a better look inside. Yeah. It's not like horrid, but it's not great either. Yeah. Not terrible, but not great either. Looks like this probably sat with about a half a tank in it. You can see all the brown on the wall there. So we're gonna fill this up with a mixture. I'm gonna look online and see what's the best. Go ahead and fill it up and then probably just let it sit overnight. I think acetone or something like that people are saying, or MEK. I'll have to go get some. Get that all cleaned out. Alright, so this is a bunch of it that I've poured out. Poured off some good fuel off the top after it settled. But yeah. There was a lot of trash in that tank. Just used some carb cleaner and backflowed the pressure fuel line, the one that goes from the fuel pump to the fuel filter. I have not done from the fuel filter on yet, but so it just came out of there. Looking better. I'm gonna put a clean chain. It may look rusty, but I cleaned it up yesterday. If there's any rust on the chain, it's going to be a heck of a lot better than what's in the tank right now anyway. So this should help scrub out the rust in the bottom of the tank, all the stuff that's sitting there. I took a before picture, and we'll take an after picture after I'm done. I'm just gonna sit here and shake it back and forth, move it around, try to kind of scrub with the chain, if you will. I was thinking this hook would actually stop me from doing what I need to do, but it actually might help because I won't have to fish it out of there. The hook will just hold it in place. I'm going to take it over to the grass and to shake it. Well, it worked swimmingly on that side. See all the stuff it knocked loose? A lot cleaner on that side. I don't know if that's stuck on. You can see a little stuck on right here. I don't know if that is though. Here's the next one I'm going to be doing. If I can get you in there to see. Yeah, you can see the rust right there. Yeah. Really hard to see down. There we go. Hard to see, but you can get the gist of it. Pretty nasty. Alright, I do believe I am satisfied with the scrubbing that has gone on. Ah! It is stuck. Where'd it go? Why is it stuck? If you're wondering if my neighbors hug me, I have no idea. Alright, time to pour some of this garbage out. There's a flap for the fill spout, but I'm going to dump everything out of there, so I've got to hold that flap open somehow while I dump. Louie. Some nasty coming out of there. I'm gonna have to flush this a couple times to get everything out, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm just gonna use gasoline to flush it. Why? Because it's a heck of a lot cheaper than the chemical I was using to dissolve the varnish and garbage. Obviously don't need a whole lot, but this little chamber here where the fuel pump sits also needs to be flushed out. Really not a whole lot in there. Some I think I might be able to just wipe out of there, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of trash sitting right here in the tank. I'll take a quick video for you. You can see it's fuzzy. Doesn't really want to focus on it, but all that trash sitting right there, that's a dark spot. Whole bunch of garbage. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and start getting the injectors back in the fuel rail. I'm going to put them in the fuel rail first, and then I'll be putting them into the intake. Looks Looks like I got a little bit of lubricant on there. I'm going to go ahead and put some extra though, just to make sure they slide in easy. Using some petroleum jelly. Works well because it dissolves with gasoline and stuff like that. Just like so. This one, let's see, what's the orientation of this guy? Is that orientation? So these plugs need to be facing that way. There's number one. Package for number two. It's nice that these came all sealed up like this. I've purchased injectors in the past and they didn't come this nicely packaged. Yeah, there's probably sufficient lubricant on these already from just being in the package. Here's number two. And so on and so forth. Not have those drop. I looked at a couple different brands of injectors. A couple different people that were selling kind of the same kit. The other ones looked almost identical to the single hole injectors that were coming out. I almost went for those, but the guy that I was asking questions to knew nothing about the injectors and kept being weird about it, and I just didn't have a good feeling with him. He just didn't know anything about the injectors. He was just kind of told to sell them, and kind of he couldn't answer any technical questions about them at all. So I definitely didn't go with those guys. I ended up going with these guys. I'll put a link in the description for these guys in their YouTube or their eBay account. So if you guys decide to buy the same kit, you're able to. There we go. Those guys will slide like that into place. I'll put some petroleum jelly on this side. Obviously not on the nozzles. It's kind of a no-brainer, but these guys are all put on now. We'll slide it in, probably off camera. I'll get everything all tightened down. And then I've got a whole host of hoses, breather hoses, antifreeze hoses, a whole bunch of different things to replace in here. So I'll be doing all that off camera as well. It's a case by case when you're working on these, whether your van needs the hoses replaced or not. I suggest replacing them. If you're going to have it open, if you're going to tear it down this far, replace everything. So you don't have to tear it down this far again to replace it. So just going to go ahead and get in there and get it done. Alright, we're going to go ahead and torque the intake, what do they call it? Because there's the intake manifold, and that's actually this part in here. There's, I think it's the intake chamber to manifold bolts, and that's these guys. It's the same torque spec as this. It's 9 foot-pounds. I'm going to start at the center and move outward. Alright, the gas tank's installed, all the fuel lines and vent lines and all that's been put into place. I already took the cap off. It is time to put the fuel back in it. And yes, I did look inside these tanks. I didn't get any contamination down inside them, which is good. It's time to put some fuel back in. In my opinion, these are the best gas tanks. The ones with the vents in the back and the hose in the front. Alright, that's about 5 gallons. Minus maybe half a gallon. This fuel filler neck has been moved somehow. Might have to figure out how to fix that. I wonder if a bolt has just come undone or something. I don't know. Alright. I think it might be time to start, guys. Let's bring the camera around. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and prime it by turning the key to the on position, jump in these two like we did to drain it, and it will prime the fuel system. Yep, you can hear it bypassing now. Yep, it's got fuel through the system. Let's go ahead and plug the fuel. Let's see, which way does it go? It goes upside down. Alright, that guy's plugged back in. Let's go around to the driver's side. Alright guys, let's go for a first start. See what happens. Heck yeah! That sounds so smooth, and it doesn't shake anymore. It used to shake when I idled. That really sounds way better than it ever has. Let's go to the back and see what it sounds like back there. That sounds healthy, guys. Oh, the van's running again. She is a runner. Now I need to hook up my throttle and transmission cable, and then put power steering fluid in this. We are good to run. Well, after about a month of driving it with the new injectors in there, I had that noisy fuel pump in the video fail on me. So, new video coming soon on how to change your fuel pump in one of these guys. Hello, Phoebe. I also put the face on the van. This was off a different van. I bought it from somebody and they shipped it to me. But after about a month of driving, it's running great on those fuel injectors. I don't know if there's necessarily more power, but the power from the smaller engine in this one, this is an 85 early van, the power seems more linear, though you do still lose it on the top end. But I'm definitely getting better fuel economy, about 1 to 2 miles per gallon, depending on how I'm driving it. But I'm definitely happy. If I had to do it all over again, I'd make the same decision to replace those injectors with the modern style injectors. I think it's a great upgrade. One thing I don't think I covered in the video right here, there's a big square aluminum piece, little fins on it. Bolts in right here. This guy is a resistor pack, and it needs to be deleted for the upgraded injectors. The injectors don't need it any longer. They give you this wiring harness to plug in place. There's that plug, and then this plug. You just unplug that resistor pack, plug this guy in place, and you're good to go. No further modifications needed. I'm going to keep that resistor pack just in case. Never know what's in the future or if somebody else might need it. You also have to do that. Again, I'm not sure if I covered that in the video or not. They're definitely not as bright yellow as they used to be. They're kind of an orange color now, which is interesting. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or have any video requests or want some how-tos, something that you guys are having a hard time figuring out or want to know how to fix, just throw it down in the comments. I'd be more than happy to make the video for you. I love this little van. It's a fun thing. Bought it as just kind of a side project, and it became a bit of a main project. It's lots and lots of fun. For those of you who are wondering, yes, I did do a 2-inch lift on this for anybody that's new to the channel or to the project. Here's the tire size for anybody who wants to know. It's a 205 75 R14. After the 2-inch lift, they fit pretty well. The fender did need to be cut back just a little bit. I didn't cut into the door, but the inner fender right here was cut. You can see it in one of my videos. But yeah, I cut those guys back so I don't rub the tires. Never know that I cut those back. Look at all that salt. I need to go wash this thing. I used to wash it weekly. I haven't washed it in a while. Well, again, hope you guys enjoyed. Give me a thumbs up if you can. Consider subscribing. Alright, see you guys. Bye.